What's going on, guys? It is Blake once again from the Avid Entries, continuing with another new part from Shadows Before Dawn. It has actually been an extra long time since the last part. I am extremely sorry for that. So basically, this past week, been pretty busy sort of reorganizing my setup here. I actually built a new computer for recording videos for both my other channels and other stuff, so yeah, I've been able to get around to doing this because I didn't have a computer to use. Technically I did, but I really had to focus on getting everything else organized and set up for this new build. So anyway, I'm finally back. I plan on knocking these out, a couple chapters. Hopefully we can get done within the next couple of days here from uploading this part. We're on to tool number 8 today. This is a decently length chapter, I think. It's pretty late at night. And I'm pretty tired, but this one actually isn't all that long, and it's an interesting one. And so let's jump right into it. Let's waste no time. So tool number 8 is releasing yourself from guilt. First section. What good is guilt? I'm actually gonna take my headphones off. I forgot about my glasses too. I'll try and rock without them. So what is guilt? Guilt is a major roadblock that stands in the way of self-love. Guilt stems from the same process of socialization that we spoke about in the introduction to this toolkit. You'll recall that the way most of us were socialized as children led us to reach a pivotal conclusion about ourselves, namely the realization, I am not good enough. As a child, you then made an assumption based on the limited understanding you had when your caregivers punished you. Specifically, you assumed that you must deserve it, otherwise it wouldn't be happening to you. Even though the assumption you made was incorrect, this assumption was the beginning of guilt in your life. Because of our socialization and the misguided assumptions that we picked up, just about all of us carry several core beliefs that are at the heart of all guilt. They are, number 1, I deserve punishment. Number 2, one step deeper than that, I deserve to suffer. Number 3, I don't deserve to be happy. And number 4, and worst of all, I don't deserve to be loved. To begin with, please understand that guilt is an emotion. It's an indicator that tells you that you have done something that you don't want to repeat, something that was out of line with your true self. We call this internal knowing that is indicated by the emotion of guilt our conscience. Conscience can bring to your attention ways in which you are out of line with your integrity. It can make you aware that you are doing something that is hurtful to yourself or others. It tells you when you are not honoring yourself or the universe at large. Conscience is a function of the internal self, and as such, it is absent of regret because the universal perspective is absent of regret. It sees every single thing. Things that you view as a mistake, as integral to your expansion and development. This is how it sees even the worst crimes you could ever think of committing. Please note that when I refer to guilt throughout this chapter, I'm not referring to the momentary indicator emotion of guilt as it applies to conscience. I'm referring instead to guilt as a system of self-regulation, self-abuse, and self-blame that keeps us imprisoned in the emotion called guilt, which makes the whole thing a permanent fixture instead of a temporary situation. I encourage you to not let guilt keep you locked in an internal closet, remaining a prisoner of the past. Next section. Getting out from under guilt. Guilt then is not something you can release, rather it's something from which you have to release yourself. If you feel guilty, it means you crossed a line inside yourself. You have violated a rule you have set up for yourself, such as don't hurt other people. We make so many internal rules for ourselves that we end up living inside we make so many internal rules for ourselves that we end up living inside a maze of them. We can't go right or left without running into a barrier. We have accumulated so many rules that it's hard to live our lives without crossing them. So the key to releasing guilt is to change the internal rules that you have set up. We can do this by examining our beliefs. Let's pretend you are in a building and guilt is like tear gas that has just been released throughout the building. Given how painful it is, all you want to do is run out the door and go somewhere else. Regret is how you know that self-blame and self-punishment have stepped in the door to keep you stuck in that building. Drowning in that awful tear gas. Regret keeps you stuck in the emotion of guilt for things that have happened in the past which you have already acknowledged are not things that you want to repeat. Once you've acknowledged that you don't want to repeat something you have done, there is personally and universally no need to continue dwelling on it or feeling guilty about it. It serves no purpose whatsoever and does not move anything toward a positive change. It only keeps you in the place of guilt. Here's why this is such an important topic for you to understand. You cannot hope to move in the direction of the future you want if you are still holding on to the past. You will simply stay where you are. If you want to love yourself, one of the first steps is to oh man, reading is so hard without my glass sometimes. If you want to love yourself, one of the first steps to take is the step of letting go. If you are struggling with self-hate, the chances are overwhelming that there are parts of you that are begging to be released from guilt. You need to give yourself permission to do that. Find a way to do that, and only then will you be able to move forward. Next section, I guess. 11 steps. I don't think this is a new section, actually. It's just 11 steps to release yourself from guilt. Here are the basic steps you can take to release yourself from guilt. Okay, here we go. Number 1. Realize the truth about guilt. In order to change something, you must have understanding of it. So the first step to releasing yourself from guilt is to realize where guilt begins, what purpose it serves, and ultimately that it doesn't serve your highest good. Guilt is, in fact, self-abuse. Realize that guilt and shame are negative emotions surrounded by negative thoughts that continue to feed your ego in a negative way instead of a positive way. What internal rule did you violate? Is that rule true 100% of the time? Does it serve you? How can you think differently about that rule or about that circumstance in a way that would help you feel less guilty? Number 2, make a decision. Decide that you are ready, willing, and wanting to let go of guilt. 3, adopt new thoughts. Replace the beliefs that you deserve punishment and that you deserve to suffer and that you don't deserve happiness or love, with the belief that you do deserve to be happy and to be loved. Number 4, take responsibility. Take responsibility only for your part in a situation. Realize that taking responsibility is not the same as admitting shame. It's simply acknowledgement of understanding. Responsibility is not about owning the blame for what happened, but rather owning up to the responsibility to choose to think or say or do something different in the future. Number 5, be realistic about your past. Take off the rose-colored glasses when you're looking for ways that the past could have been different. Guilt is fueled by looking back on a situation and seeing options that either weren't there or to which we had no access at the time. Number 6, apologize. Apologize to anyone whom you perceive you have hurt, even if this is yourself. It's hard to let go of the guilt if someone else is still hurting. Offer a sincere apology, most important, explaining the understanding that you now have of the whole situation. If the person or animal on the receiving end of the hurt is not around to apologize to, or if you simply don't feel ready to address them, write it on a piece of paper like a letter and then burn it. As you watch the paper burn, you can affirm the following: I'm ready to stop punishing myself and instead, with new understanding, I, in brackets, state your new intention. Number 7, plan for a new future. Make a plan for how you will do things differently in the future. The emotion of guilt exists to let us know that we don't want to repeat something we've done. So make this a conscious process by really looking for the lesson hidden in the experience. What are you going to do differently in the future? Without having a new way to approach your life, you'll continue to do things for which you feel guilty. The point of freeing yourself from guilt is not to accumulate more guilt, but to start fresh with a new intention. Number 8, accept that mistakes are only lessons. Recognize the value in mistakes. Without them, you cannot learn. Without knowing what you don't like and want, you cannot know what you do like and want. Don't let your mistakes turn into suffering, and don't allow shame and self-punishment into the equation. Don't allow shame and punishment into the equation. Instead, understand that your mistakes are only lessons. I try to take one sip per section, but this one's kind of going on. Number 9, release judgments. Uncover all the judgments you are making about yourself based on what you feel guilty about. The deep suffering you feel is not actually caused by the guilt itself. It is caused by the judgments you make about yourself based on what you feel guilty about. An example of this is, I feel guilty because I've stolen money from someone. People who steal money are no good, therefore I'm no good, or I'm a bad person, or I'm a screw-up, or I deserve to be punished. You did the things that were not in line with your true self. You vowed not to repeat them, but doing them does not mean that you are bad. Release your judgments and replace the beliefs and assumptions based on your new knowledge. Number 10, replace guilt with love. Counter the guilt by showing yourself love. Remember, guilt is the opposite of self-love. It's actually self-abuse. What's more, guilt makes us a match to more people and circumstances that reinforce guilt within us. So what is the best thing you can do when your self-abusive ego is running the show with guilt? Show yourself love and care and discover how to be your own friend. Look inward and see that you are in need of loving kindness yourself. Counter hate with self-love in whatever ways you can, such as taking a bath, writing affirmations, doing mirror work, watching a movie that makes you feel good about yourself, or doing a self-love visualization. Number 11, forgive yourself. Understand that every person on this earth always makes the best decision they can, given the perspective, information, and knowledge they have from where they are. Everyone does what they think is right in the very moment. Because of the way we are taught to punish ourselves, we develop guilt for not choosing options that, in all honesty, simply weren't there at the time. You shouldn't judge your past self by using today's expanded perspective. You can't love yourself and not forgive yourself at the same time. And you cannot live a happy life until you forgive yourself. Forgiveness is the practice of making peace with where you are, thereby releasing you from the bondage that is keeping you from moving forward and that is keeping you from happiness. In true forgiveness, the negative emotion no longer exists. Forgiveness is letting go of what is holding you back once you are aware of it, so you can turn in the direction of what you would prefer, as well as discontinue. Oh, I see. Wait, what? Why is there I don't know why there's a dash there for discontinue. As well as discontinue carrying the past into the present. How do you forgive yourself? You find approval for what you currently disapprove of about yourself and about what you did. You forgive yourself by going through all the steps involved with setting yourself free from guilt, then altering the point of view you are holding about what you have not forgiven yourself for. And that is the end of tool number 8. Usually it ends on, I don't know, like some sort of like very lighthearted note, but that kind of feel like that kind of ended kind of abruptly, but yeah, a lot to take in that tool. Most of the thing I think she kind of touched on was just the concept of forgiveness, which is something that everybody struggles with. I feel like, if anything, it's what most people struggle. What most people struggle with the most. Because we all have things that have happened to us in the past, whether by somebody or a group of people, and I mean, I feel like one way or another, everybody individually is held back by something in their past, whether it's just a traumatic experience or it's something you personally did that has affected you or you feel like has just haunted you till this very day. It's tough. it's easier said than done, that's for sure, when it comes to forgiving yourself or forgiving other people for that matter. But what stuck out to me the most is when she said, I'm trying to find it word for word. It'd be nice if I could find it word for word. This is why I really need a highlighter when I read this, so I can like highlight the things that stick out to me the most. But basically, she said holding on to guilt and not being able to forgive is just keeping yourself in place, and you can't move forward with your life. I don't know if really she meant literally or just when it comes to the situation. Because there are a lot of times that I do feel stuck personally in life, and it just feels like things aren't moving in any specific direction, backwards or forwards. It's kind of just like standing still. And sometimes I wonder if that's due to, well, this has me wondering if that's due to, you know, holding on to things in the past, because there are many things that I still hold on to in the past. I wouldn't really say things that are just like constantly wrenching at me every hour of the day, but you know, it's things that pop up my mind every now and then. So it's just something to think about, I suppose. But yeah, guilt is a big one that I feel like a lot of people deal with, and it's even something now that I feel like collectively has sort of come up again, especially with the age of cancel culture and everything. And you know, it's a tricky situation because, you know, you want to forgive, but at the same time people need to be held accountable for their actions. But at the same time, I feel like some people take it too far, and it's just like, where is the time and place? Where is the space for us to forgive? Where is the space for us to kind of, you know, start a fresh slate and move forward? It just seems like we're always just digging at people's past and everything. It's interesting. It's actually interesting because I feel like overall, like collectively, this makes a lot of sense nowadays for sure. But anyway, that's it for tool number 8. Let me know what you guys thought in the comments below. Let me know what you think about the whole concept of guilt. You guys struggle with guilt yourself in your life? Let me know. I would be interested to know. I read all the comments for the few of you who are checking out these videos. I appreciate it. Glad you guys are enjoying it. Again, sorry for the huge delay and long period of time between each upload. Yeah, last week there was supposed to be one. There wasn't one last week. Like, if I'm really like gonna be that behind, then at least I should be able to get out one a week. But I wasn't able to get out one at all last week. So yeah, I'm gonna try and, you know, get another one up as quickly as possible. As a matter of fact, let me skim through 9. Okay, it's about the same length as 8. So yeah, I should be able to get out 9 pretty soon. In that case. But anyway, thanks for watching, guys. It's gonna do it for today's part, and I'll catch you guys in the next reading. Take care. Thanks for watching.